Barbara Gonzalez is a renowned businesswoman who grew up in Dar es Salaam, one of the biggest cities in Tanzania. With her dad being a big fan of Arsenal in the English Premier League, Barbara grew up supporting the North London club passionately as well. Although she also wanted to work in the United Nations, it was overridden by her enthusiasm for football. Women occupying very high positions in sports is very rare in Africa. And considering her age, this lady from Dar es Salaam has defied the odds. In a country, the 32-year-old now occupies the position as the Chief Executive Officer of Simba Sports Club, the biggest club in Tanzania. Gonzalez replaced Senzo Mbatha, who crossed paths to their traditional arch rivals, Young Africans Sports Club, in 2020. Born by a Colombian dad and a Tanzanian mom, she has risen to the top via merit. She joined Simba SC as a board member 2 years before being appointed CEO. Gonzalez holds a master's degree in political science and economics from London University in the United Kingdom, a bachelor's of arts in economics and political science, and also studied at the International School of Tanganyika. She was an intern at UN Habitat, New York for 4 months, and UN Women, business analyst consultant at Deloitte and social coordinator at Bloomsbury International in the United Kingdom, among other tasks. There is more to Barbara than just being the CEO of one of the best clubs in Africa. She has lots of greater things she wants to achieve in football and has an eye for developing talent in African football. This is the lady changing narratives on the continent. This is the Lioness of Dar es Salaam. Well, women across the continent are making steady gains when it comes to football, not just playing in it or being part of its administration, but at top level, they're also assuming roles even the men are running away from. And one of them is Simba SC CEO, Barbara Gonzalez, and she's here to grace us with this interview. Thanks so much, Barbara, for joining us with this interview. But who is Barbara behind the name Barbara Gonzalez?
So Barbara is a very assertive person. She's an extreme go-getter. If I want something, I will get it. And even if I dream big, eventually these things will materialize. I'm very kind. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I want to make an impact wherever I go.
What influenced the decision to get into football administration?
To be honest, I didn't aim to get into sports, as I mentioned in the conference, because I believed football and the industry, it was unfathomable for a woman to be able to be an administrator, let alone a CEO of this club. So going back to my journey, from high school, my passion was to get into development. I really wanted to work for the UN, and I said, I am going to be the next Secretary General of the UN. I'm going to be the next Ban Ki-moon. And everything I did from university in terms of getting the right internships, UN Office on Drugs and Crime, UN Habitat, UN Women, I was very, very aggressive. And then when I went to do my master's in London, I said, you know what, I want to work more in development. The UN, I'll leave that for later. I'm going to get into development. So I made a decision to come back to Tanzania and work for Deloitte, and there was a lot of UN AIDS projects and USAID projects that I decided to focus on. And after some time there, I ended up running a foundation for one of the biggest billionaire in Tanzania. And then that's how I got into football, because one of the projects that I was working on, aside from developing his foundation, was to restructure this thing called Simba Sports Club and to come up with an interesting, innovative way of how he could invest but also progress the club. And that's how I got into football. And then next thing you know, fast forward 5-6 years, I'm the CEO of the club.
Did you ever play football or get into any sport when you were younger?
Yes, I was always into sports. From when I was about 5-6 years old, I started playing football up until I was 18. I was a very good central defender, but I had to retire at 18 and said, you know, once I go to university, I need to focus on work, and I stopped playing football since then. But I was avid. When I say I loved my football, every weekend, every day after school, we were playing sports. And then on top of that came the games, English Premier League. My dad with Arsenal, you cannot switch off the TV. You just knew your weekend. Whenever Arsenal was playing, the whole family had to pause and we're watching the game. So it was instilled in us from a young age.
You earned a very historic appointment as the first CEO, female CEO for Simba SC. Great achievement. How did you take that one in?
I think, one, I was very grateful to be given the opportunity because it's an opportunity to make history as a young person, but as a woman as well. And I received it with open arms. It came with its challenges because not everyone wants you to prosper. You know, not everyone believes you're capable. But also came with a learning curve because I'm not the traditional profile of someone you would see in a football club. You know, when you look at African football, the federations that we have, the teams that are being run, it's a bunch of old men, let's be honest. And I was not the typical profile. And then also a bunch of old men who have been in the football industry for years. I came from the private sectors, totally different profile, very different background. But coming here, it was an opportunity for me to use the skills and the competencies that I developed in the private sector and to try bring that into football. So I've been graced with a great opportunity, big challenge because it comes with changing systems, structures, processes, and doing business unusual. And you know, in football, everyone likes the comfort zone, especially in African football. No, let's stick to what everyone's used to, don't make things difficult. But when you come in with a new mindset, the first thing you're going to do is start to change things, you know, and along the way you'll ruffle a few feathers, but that comes with the territory.
So Barbara, you moved on. How difficult was it when you assumed the role because you rejected it 2 years earlier?
Because I felt I wasn't ready. You know, you need to have a lot of introspective reflection to be able to determine whether or not you're ready for something. So whether it's a job that you want to get into or whether it's an academic opportunity, you need to know whether you're ready. So a year before I accepted the job, I said, you know what, I'm not ready for this. And before I started the job at Simba, I'd actually accepted a job at a brewery as the director of legal and corporate affairs. So I was like, okay, I'm in this new role. I had started and then they said, you know, Barbara, I feel like you're the right fit for this role. You rejected it a year ago. You are the right fit. And I said, you know what? I'm ready now.
With all the prejudice over females taking up bigger roles in a game which is dominated mostly by males, not just your gender but also age, because you are one of the youngest CEOs when it comes to football administration. How has it been for you?
Yeah, I think the only way to change the narrative is to lead by example. I believe that my work should speak for itself. If the team is succeeding, they look at you and say, you know what, you're doing well. If the team has new initiatives, they now see your effort and all the work that you've done so far as the reason for that. So I'm extremely proud to be given the opportunity, but I'm letting my work to speak for itself, to say that, you know what, a young person and a young woman can do this, and a young person can make a massive impact.
With your roles now, have you seen or identified any shift in that earlier prejudice that has been held long by many, that women cannot really take up very big tasks like you have done?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the prejudice that existed in the beginning, the preconceived notions that young people don't know anything, or women cannot succeed, or women will fail, I think we've completely changed perceptions, but it also comes back to having strong systems, strong mentors. I would be unfair to myself if I said it was just me on my own. No, I had a lot of guidance, I had a lot of mentorship, and that's what leadership is. Leadership is being able to rely on others to get guidance on various things. And you have mentors for different things. Mentors for navigating politics. You have mentors for boosting your technical expertise in player registration. You also have mentors in terms of creativity and innovation and digital. And you cannot see your role in isolation. So the CEO alone is one person, but you have a support system of people that are helping you get to where you want to go.
Simba SC has achieved a lot of glory in what they've done in the last couple of years. Looking at what you have taken over from, what are your targets for Simba SC in the next couple of years you'll be leading them?
We are going to be one of the biggest clubs in the continent, and very soon, I hope, we're going to be the champions of Africa. And so everything from our registration to how we're positioning our brand to how we're investing in the team is leading us towards that. That's our goal, and we need to make all these baby steps to get there.
You have a very large fan base, and with the numbers you have, achieving success on the pitch is one thing, having a very good structural development and also the systems working properly is also another thing. How are you able to satisfy the several different aspirations of your fans?
In football, you cannot satisfy everyone, and expectation management is one of the difficult parts of my job. But success, ultimately, it goes down to success on the field. You know, as a United fan or an Arsenal fan or a Simba fan, you want to see your team performing, and anything less than that, unfortunately, people don't value success off the field. You know, when Arsenal was losing for 4 or 5 years, they said, you know what, we're going to limit our registration budget and we're going to invest that money in the stadium and have the Emirates Stadium. But do you think the fans cared? No. They were like, why isn't Arsenal performing? Exactly. You know? But ultimately it goes down to that, and it's having that treading very carefully between on the field success and off the field milestones and ticking those boxes. So it's a difficult balance to tread on, but ultimately you need to know if you want to manage expectations, your team needs to do well. That's the truth.
Well, Simba have been very dominant on the African continent when it comes to playing football, but they have failed to get the glory. How difficult has it been for them, and looking forward to it? Does it not frustrate you, and when do you see them becoming champions?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't worry me because look at Mamelodi Sundowns. They probably have 4 or 5 times the budget, but in the past 3 years, they've also remained to be in the quarterfinals. Does that mean that Mamelodi Sundowns is a bad team? Absolutely not. Al Ahly, they've won it consecutively, but this year, Wydad has become the champions of Africa. Does that mean that Al Ahly is not good enough? No. I think we set our own expectations. We know we're gradually getting there. If I look at Simba's journey in the past 4 years, we've been to the quarterfinals thrice in interclub competitions, and it's a good achievement. And I think we need to slowly move, and now we need to push ourselves. We've been in the quarterfinals several times. Let's push. We want to go to the semis, then the finals, then the winners, right? We'll get there. Let's be patient.
All right.
Makofi mengi tafadhali. Makofi mengi tafadhali. Hayo makofi Alafu tunaomba viongozi msogee maeneo haya hapa kwenye viti hivi. Makofi mengi tafadhali watu wa Simba.
It's massive. It's massive. And that's what's, chasing me to go back home. Simba Day is the start and the launch of our season. So next week or on the 8th, when we launch our Simba Day and everyone's joining, it's a way for us to showcase our players. So for my Ghanaian fans who love Augustine Okra, that's the time to see Augustine Okra on the field being showcased. Everyone is waiting for the Okra magic, right? That's the day that all the new players are going to be showcased. That's the day that people feel connected and hyped for the new season.
So now speaking about Augustine Okra, he's one of the brightest spots when it comes to the Ghana Premier League. Well, he left, he came back, still made his name in there. What influenced your decision to get on board such a quality player?
His statistics. Let's be honest. If you look at the Ghanaian Premier League, Augustine Okra is one of the best players. If you ask me, he's the best player. And Simba looks for statistics. We identify talent. Look at how many minutes he's played in the Ghanaian Premier League. Look at how many goals, how many assists. Naturally, we're looking at the league, competitive league. People discredit the Ghanaian league, but it's a very competitive league. The best players in the continent are also from Ghana. So naturally, we see Okra and we're like, this is the boy. This is the young man that we want. So the negotiations with Beckham weren't easy. They didn't want to let go because this is their boy. I saw recently they're naming, I think, the stadium or a monument after him because he is doing such a fantastic job and he's built a legacy for Beckham and he hasn't even started. I was watching them play the other day on the friendly game and I told him, Augustine, the way you're playing, it's like ice skating. I'm seeing the ball is glide. It was beautiful to watch. It was like music. I said, I can't wait for Simba's Day because you are going to show us that Okra magic.
Huyo Morrison bado anao yeye, weka maridadi kumtafuta Sheva yuko bado. Miraji cheza tena na Morrison. Goli maridadi kabisa, nafunga pa penalty Morrison BM3. Goli maridadi kabisa linaonekana uwanja Benjamin Mkapa, Dar es Salaam. Huyu ndio penalty Morrison ambao Simba walikuwa wanamtaka na wakampata. Magoli ya video haya.
Yeah, Okra is not the only player you've secured from Ghana, and looking forward to other subsequent seasons. Are you going to get in a lot more talent from the Ghana Premier League?
Not at this moment. We're following a lot of players at the moment. There's a few other players that clubs were resistant to sell, and that's normal because, it's a trade-off about looking at short-term gains in terms of financial gains and long-term performance, but we're still scouting, still following. I think the biggest problems all clubs in the continent are facing is the striker crisis. Even if you look at Man City, De Bruyne was scoring more goals than the striker.
Exactly, yeah.
Why? Because there's a striker crisis all over the world. And then when I speak to other clubs the other day with Pyramids, and I'm like, what are you scouting for? Striker. Al Ahly, striker. Everyone is looking for a striker. So, and Simba, likewise, we're also still scouting for a striker. And very soon, by the time we close our registration window, we should be able to announce the striker. So going back to the Ghanaian league, we're following it very closely. We see the difference that Okra has made, even just being in the club for the past 10 days. And we said there's some magic here that people maybe have not paid enough attention. We are keeping a very close relationship to Ghanaian agents because they're able to identify good talent.
We know that the love for Ghanaian players is not just with Augustine Okra. We saw you have one Ghanaian, Bernard Morrison, formerly of Ashanti Gold, who moved to join you. How were you able to grab him from your bitterest rivals, Yanga SC, who brought him to Tanzania?
No, I think it goes back to talent. When you're poaching a player from anywhere, you look at whether someone has been able to perform well and add value to your squad. And that's why we identified Bernard. And he was great, and he still is a very good player. So you look at a player and say, this is the player that we want, and we're going to do anything possible to make sure this young man comes to play for us. Recently, we signed a player, Mohamed Wantara from Al Hilal. Likewise, he was heavily in a contract. The club did not want to let him go, but we put our foot down. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure this player comes to us. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, Barbara, getting closer to the finishing line, we've seen a lot of shortfalls in Africa football. Which ones have you identified, and which areas do you think should be worked on properly in order to ensure that Africa football gets to the pedestal where we all want to see it?
I think one, it's financing and investment, because I'm seeing a lot of leagues and a lot of teams struggling to pay players. I think recently there was a Ghanaian journalist a few days ago who was tweeting about the average salary in the Ghanaian league or the average salary versus a South African league. And it goes down to investment. If people are not investing in broadcasting, if people are not investing in these teams, how do you expect them to be showcased? I want the next Okra to be playing for maybe Man United, or maybe you want the next Morrison to be playing for Chelsea. But how can that happen if there's not enough investment? You need to be paying the players well, you need to be paying the broadcasters well, so that you're showcasing these leagues at the highest level. And that way you can attract scouts, you can attract attention for these players to excel to the next level. We don't hire players to become pensioners on the team. No one does that. We hire them so that they can excel, do well for the club, and then move on to the next chapter. Today, Raheem Sterling spent 6 years in Man City before he went off to Chelsea. Look at Gabriel Jesus, same thing before he came to Arsenal, because the clubs are looking at, this is an investment we're making, he's going to do well for us, and after a few years he's going to go on to the next level and propel.
So Barbara, it's been an exciting time with you, but your final words: Ghana will be participating in the 2022 FIFA World Cup later this year in Qatar. What will be your words to all Ghanaians and also to the team that will be playing at the Mundial?
Yeah, so congratulations first to Ghana. I hope you will make Africa proud. I know you will make Africa proud. And I hope you take initiative to boost. You know, when I was looking at the CHAN tournament recently, I don't see enough emphasis on players that are participating in CHAN to also be chosen for the selection. And I know that comes with a lot of pressure. You know, once you have Thomas Partey in Arsenal, it's very difficult to then say, I'm going to go pick Augustine Okra. But a difficult job of the coach, you know, to have that trade-off between the first selection and then the players who are playing in CHAN. You know, also give them an opportunity, because they are representing your country. So for all the African countries that are representing us in the World Cup, I wish you all the best. Make us proud. We hope to see you in the final and clenching that trophy. Thank you, Ghana, for your warm welcome and for your lovely time here.
So that has been a very exciting time with Barbara Gonzalez, young CEO for Simba SC. She's the first female CEO for the Tanzanian club, and she's doing a lot to make sure that the narrative of females not being able to handle football teams or administrative roles in football clubs is changing. And I'm sure for all females who are watching now, you'll be inspired to do a lot more to get on to bigger roles when it comes to football and sport across the globe. My name is Kelvin Owusu. Keep watching TV3. There's a lot more on 3 Sports coming up in the next couple of weeks.